of 5.1. Thank you very much. Before we begin, we would like to welcome everyone and lay out a few ground rules which we will apply to each public hearing tonight. It is important that you present any facts or views you have as evidence so that an informed recommendation can be made by the Planning Commission to the governing body for final decision. By state statute, the governing body does not need to hold additional public hearings on these matters, although they may listen to whomever they wish. You may be asked if there is any new information which was not heard at these hearings. It is to everyone's advantage if you present all the necessary information at the hearings. For each case, after the city zoning administrator provides the commission with background information, I will call upon the applicant. Public comments will be heard following the applicant. Once all have been heard, the applicant will have the opportunity for final comments. The Planning Commission will close the hearing to the public comments and then consider 14 factors of which to base their recommendation. During this time, the commission may direct questions to the applicant, the public, and/or city staff. You should be aware that the Planning Commission can recommend that the site be platted or replatted if necessary, and that the site plan may be required for approval. You should be aware that any uses permitted outright in the district by the regulations can receive a zoning permit. Furthermore, if the applicant chooses to describe various features of their development plans, the city can only enforce those provisions which are covered in zoning and other city codes. Anyone wishing to speak must be recognized by the chairperson and give their name and address. Please use the podium and speak clearly so that your comments can be recorded for inclusion into our minutes. Official notices for these hearings were published on the City of Andover municipal website on May 24th, 2025, and notices were mailed out to the applicant and all real property owners of record in the area of notification on May 23rd, 2025. The record shows that 20 days have lapsed between the publication and mailing dates and hearing date. Unless there's evidence to the contrary from anyone present, I will declare that proper notification has been given. Although we do not encourage any such communications, I will ask the commission if any of them have any ex parte, verbal, or written communications prior to the hearing in which they would like to share.
None.
Thank you.
None.
So now we will do agenda item 5.1, the lot split at 800 Ruth Avenue. Julie, go ahead.
Yep. So
Thank
you
you.
all continued this item from your last meeting to today. The idea was to give the applicants more time to figure out what they want to do in order to get their case to be brought forward. Kind of a brief recap. They would like to split the lot in half laterally, such that it would create two lots, one to the north with an existing house on it, and one to the south, which has an existing addressed accessory structure on it. The zoning code does not permit the accessory structure to sit by itself, so it would create a non-conforming lot, and so staff took issue with that. The applicant has told us that they're working to either transform that accessory structure into a dwelling, which would allow the lot to stand by itself. In fact, it would require that it be by itself, or modify it in some other way in order to meet the zoning code. The applicant got back with me actually after the agenda went out and let me know that he has no update for you all. He is working with a professional to evaluate options to see what he can do to the accessory structure. He doesn't wish to retract his application at this time, but he also has nothing new to present to you. So since the conditions have not really changed at all, staff recommends you continue this once more if you're willing to give him some more time.
Okay. Do we have any questions for staff?
Well, I, Gary Israel, make a motion that we continue the case to our next month's meeting of the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Gary.
I'll second.
Thank you, Peter. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
I, Gary Israel, make a motion to recess the Planning Commission and convene the Board of Zoning Appeals.
We have a motion to recess Planning Commission.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we will start with 5.2, which is public hearing case number BZA V25-007. And Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the commission members if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they or a relative own property in the area of notification or have conflicts of interest.
No.
None.
Thank you. I now call upon the city zoning administrator to provide us with the report on this case. Sorry.
No problem. This case is an application for a variance in order to construct a pool house, which would exceed the default maximum allowable size of an accessory structure on this lot that is zoned SF2. Really, it's R2, what it was called when this was put into place. The maximum size for an accessory structure allowed outright is 300 square feet in this zoning district, and the applicant wishes to install a 1,157 square foot pool house adjacent to the existing pool. While that is quite a variance from the 300 square foot requirement, this lot is over twice the minimum size for the zoning district. And if this structure were placed on the property, that in the existing house would cover approximately 17% of the lot. The maximum lot coverage is 35%, so they would be at half of their maximum lot coverage, which is not very much at all. So given that the same kind of thing has been approved in the neighborhood recently for many of the same reasons, we feel that this is well within reasonable limits and recommend approval.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have the applicant here?
Yep.
Feel free to step up, sir, and if you'll give your name and your address for us.
My name is Mark McCollum Construction, and I'm representing Shane Pierce tonight. He's the owner of 1501 East Blue Sage Court. He's out of town, so he asked me to be here for him. And they spend a lot of time outside, so they've got a pool there. He wanted to cover as much of the yard as he could with the pool house. Wants to put a golf simulator in there. It'd be a nice thing. So, do y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions for staff or the applicant?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a homeowners association? I mean, has it been?
There is. We have a letter or email from Kirk. I have it here in my folder, but it's one of the owners of Flint Hills, and they approved of it as long as this committee approved of it.
Okay.
So,
I should have put that in my report. The applicant did let us know that they got the HOA approval before they even brought this to us.
yeah, we already talked to them. So, and we had MKEC work on a site plan. We're not ready to turn it in yet, but we're getting close.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this case? And seeing none, do we have any written communications that have been received?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you want any final comments, sir? Okay. Hearing no further public comments, I hereby close the public portion of the hearing. There will be no more further public comments unless the board wishes to ask questions to clarify information. We will now deliberate the request to determine whether the evidence presented supports the conclusions of required of fact. The board will now consider the criteria provided for the evaluation.
I can read those.
Thank you, Peter.
Does the evidence demonstrate that, one, the physical surroundings, shape, or topography of the property would result in a practical difficulty as distinguished from a mere inconvenience for the owner, lessee, or occupant? Staff's response: the subject parcel measures almost 22,500 square feet, placing it well over the minimum lot size for an R2 district. A smaller structure that would keep within the 300 square foot maximum floor area would be out of place on the large lot.
Concur.
Number two, granting the variance will result in material detriment or injury to other property or improvements in the neighborhood. Staff: no material detriment is expected.
Concur.
Concur. Granting the variance, number three, granting the variance will result in an inadequate supply of light or air to adjacent property, substantially increased traffic congestion, increased fire risk, or substantially diminished property values in the neighborhood. Staff: no adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
Number four, the request for a variance is not based exclusively on the desire of the owner, lessee, occupant, or applicant to make more money out of the property. Staff. The applicant does not have a motivation to make more money on the property, though through the request of this variance. This application is to construct a pool house for personal use.
Concur.
Concur.
Specific conditions to be met. The requested variance arises from a condition unique to the property in question, which is not ordinarily found in the same zoning district, and which was not created by an action of the property owner or the applicant. Staff. The subject parcel measures almost 22,500 square feet, placing it well over the minimum lot size for an R2 district.
Concur.
Number two, strict application of the provisions of the zoning regulations would result in unnecessary hardship for the owner, lessee, or occupant of the land or structure. Staff. No application, strict application of the provisions in this case would result in some unnecessary hardships for the owner, given the size of the parcel.
Concur.
Number three, granting the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. No adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
The requested variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare. No adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
The requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of these zoning regulations. Staff. The general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations is to promote the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare. Much as for the other similar pool houses in the neighborhood, this variance would not be opposed to the general spirit and intent as defined.
Concur.
Concur.
Is there a motion to either approve, modify, or disapprove, or to table the discussion?
Having considered the evidence at the hearing and determined that the findings of fact have been found to exist that support all 5 conditions set out in subsection 11-106.b2 of the zoning regulations and KSA 12-759E, I, Dan Colson, move that the chairperson be authorized to sign a resolution granting the variance for case number BZA-V25-0007 as requested.
Thank you, Dan. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion carries. A resolution will be prepared and made available to the applicant as soon as reasonably possible, but no later than 45 days from the date of this hearing. If anyone is aggrieved by this decision, a further appeal can be made to the district court to determine its reasonableness within 30 days after the resolution is signed and filed with the zoning administrator. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
We will jump into 5.3, the variance of 1607 West Highlander Court. And I now call to the agenda item 5.3, which is a public hearing on case BZA V25000008. Before we proceed with the hearing, I will ask the commission members if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they or a relative own property in the area of notification or have conflicts of interest.
None.
I now call on the city's zoning administrator to provide us with a report on this case.
This is an application for a variance to reduce the rear yard setback on this property that is also zoned R2. In this case, the deck that is the rear property encroaches on the 25-foot minimum rear yard setback. My mic hasn't been on this entire time. Putting a roof onto the deck is what's triggering this variance. It's actually easier to see kind of in the survey here. Given the front yard setback that you can see down at the bottom there, Highlander Court, the house is right up against it, and that leaves not very much room in the rear for there to be much of anything. The yard back there is not very big, and there's a 10-foot utility easement along the rear yard as well. So this deck is not encroaching on that easement, and the roof will continue to not encroach on the easement, given that the deck's positioning seems to be just fine with the surrounding area and doesn't cause any issues. We don't think that putting a roof on it will cause any issues either. Extending the main roof out, and the eave might overhang by a few inches, but that's not anything out of the ordinary. This applicant also received permission from their HOA for this project, so that's all good to go, and none of the neighbors have voiced any complaints.
Thank you. I now call upon the applicant to make his or her presentation on the request and any response to the zoning administrator's report.
My name is Long Tong, and I'm 1607 West Highland Court. And I guess I'm trying to put a roof on my deck. And the reason is I have no tree in the back. We've been there for 8 years now. We hardly come out to enjoy anything in the back because we have full sundown to sunset. It's just sun all day. So the reason is to put a roof there. That way my kids and a family can enjoy just a little bit outside a little bit.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this case? It does not appear there are. I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Have you shown this is there an HOA in your?
Yes, HOA has already approved my case.
Okay.
And-
Yeah, I totally understand, man. You're
Yeah.
getting sun from the east and from the west. And
Yes.
are you going to put up any shades possibly in
Yes,
the future?
I will have a shade. My contractors will put a shade in for me. Yeah, the pull down shade.
Okay.
I think this is the first one I've ever seen that it's over just a roof being extended to the.
Right, it kind of becomes a structure once it
Yeah.
has a roof on it.
Okay,
So
but the
I-
deck
I-
isn't being, like, there's no, it's.
the deck's
truly
there,
ju-
and I think
Yeah,
it was
okay.
put there before. I'm not really sure. I couldn't actually find the year it was built.
Yeah,
Did the deck come with the house?
Yes,
When you
yeah,
moved
it's
in?
there.
So,
I just come in and
Yeah.
just-
yeah,
You know, we probably wouldn't
and
have issued the
yeah,
permit
hardly any
today,
tree in the back. So
but
so-
since it's there and not causing any issues,
Is there a wind limitation on the canopy you're going to put in there?
um, it's not enclosed. It's just
101 miles an hour.
with our hurricane winds we've
yeah.
had.
Hopefully not.
Have there been any written communications received?
there have not.
Do you have any other additional comments, sir?
I do not.
Any other comments, questions? Anybody?
Well,
Okay. Hearing no further public comments, I hereby close the public portion of the hearing. There will be no further public comments unless the board wishes to ask questions or clarify information. The board will now deliberate the request to determine whether the evidence presented supports the conclusions of the required findings of fact, and the board will now consider the criteria to provide for evaluation. Thank you.
Does the evidence demonstrate that, 1, the physical surroundings, shape, or topography of the property would result in a practical difficulty as distinguished from a mere inconvenience for the owner, lessee, or occupant? Staff, the subject parcel is 130 feet long but is placed on a corner lot at the end of a cul-de-sac, thus placing the home at the front yard setback does not leave much room in the rear yard.
concur.
Yes.
Concur. 2, granting the variance will result in material detriment or injury to other property or improvements in the neighborhood. Staff, no material detriment is expected. Concur.
Concur.
3, granting the variance will result in an inadequate supply of light or air to adjacent properties, substantially increased traffic congestion, increased fire risk, or substantially diminished property values in the neighborhood. Staff, no adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
4, the request for a variance is not based exclusively on a desire of the owner, lessee, occupant, or applicant to make more money out of the property. Staff, the applicant does not have a motivation to make more money out of the property through the request of this variance. This application is to install a roof above an existing deck.
Concur.
Specific conditions to be met. 1, the requested variance arises from a condition unique to the property in question, which is not ordinarily found in the same zoning district and which was not created by any action of the property owner or the applicant. Staff, the odd shape and small usable area behind the dwelling make the property uniquely difficult to fit rear yard accessory structures or additions.
Concur.
2, strict application of the provisions of these zoning regulations would result in unnecessary hardship for the owner, lessee, or occupant of the land or structures. Staff, strict application of the provisions in this case would result in some unnecessary hardship for the owner given the size, shape, and arrangement of the parcel.
Concur.
3, Granting the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. Staff, no adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
Concur. 4, the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare. Staff, no adverse effects are anticipated.
Concur.
5, the requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of these zoning regulations. Staff, the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations is to promote the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare. Installing a roof over an existing deck would not oppose these regulations.
Concur.
Is there a motion to either approve, modify, and approve, or disapprove, or table the discussion?
Madam Chairperson, having considered the evidence at the hearing and determined that the findings of fact have been found to exist that support all 5 conditions set out in subsection 11-106.b2 of the zoning regulations in KSA 12-759E, I, Gary Israel, move that the chairperson be authorized to sign a resolution granting the variance for case number BZA-V25-0008 as requested.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. A resolution will be prepared and made available to the applicant as soon as reasonably possible, but no later than 45 days from the date of this hearing. If anyone is aggrieved by this decision, a further appeal can be made to the district court to determine its reasonableness within 30 days after the resolution is signed and filed with the zoning administrator. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you. Good luck with your electricity and sump pump.
We'll get the wire right now for the house.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was just waiting. Yeah, I'll be sending you the resolution and then we'll do that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning Appeals and convene the Planning Commission.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we will jump into member items. Anything?
Nothing.
And with that, I will make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Good job, Madam Chair.
23 minutes.
What's our shortest been? About 15 minutes?
I think we had
Nine.
or 8 one time. I just didn't realize when I read that, I didn't realize it was only a roof. I was
Yeah.
thinking